Okay, Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So today my group is going to present about ecology of communities. But before that, let me introduce my group member. First is Umi Ayuni binti Syafi'i. Next, Iza Nur Nadia binti Ahmad Jamal. And lastly, me, Nur Farhamani binti Tak Razaki. So things that we include in our slides are community structure, consists of species richness and species diversity. Next, community interactions consists of habitat and ecological niche and competition between populations. Next, predator-prey interactions consists of predator-prey population dynamics and prey defenses. Lastly, symbiotic relationship divided into three: parasitism, commensalism, and mutualism. Okay, learning outcomes. By the end of this lecture, we'll be able to recognize the features of a biological community and species richness. Describe the factors that define an organism's ecological niche within its community. And identify how the interactions among species organize a community. Okay, community. Community is an assemblage of populations of different species interacting with one another in the same environments. For example, a fallen log. A fallen log can be considered as a community because there are a lot of populations that live there and they interact with one another. To illustrate more, the fungi break down the log to feed the insects that live on or in the log, and then the insects are being eaten by the birds. So we can call that a community. Next, community structure. Community structure is the characteristic that allows us to compare communities. The first characteristic is species richness, or also known as species composition. Species richness is a listing of the various species found in that community. For example, two plots of lands. Plot A has 24 species of plants, and plot B has 84 species of plants. Therefore, plot B has higher species richness. Next, species diversity. Species diversity is the measurement of species richness and the relative abundance of the different species within the community. So we can say that species diversity is related to species richness. For example, a forest sample in West Virginia has 76 yellow poplar trees, but only one American elm. So when we walk through there, we will say that the forest is only consists of one species and is not diverse. However, if the species is being distributed fairly, we will see that the forest is more diverse. For example, a forest sample in West Virginia has 36 yellow poplar trees and 41 American elms. So we can see that the forest is more diverse. To conclude, the greater the species richness and the more even the distribution of the species in a community, the greater the diversity. Okay, this is another example for species richness. So as you can see, in coniferous forest, there are 6 types of animals. However, in tropical rainforest, there are 7 types of animals. So we can say that tropical rainforest has higher species richness than coniferous forest. Okay, next, community interactions. I will explain how habitat and ecological niche is related. Okay, so first, what is habitats? Habitats is a particular place where a species live and reproduce. For examples, forest floor, swift stream, and seashore. Ecological niche is role of species plays in its community, including the methods used to acquire the resources it needs to meet energy, nutrient, and survival demands. For example, dragonfly larvae who eats other insects. Their habitat is pond or lake. So first, their habitat, which is pond or lake, must contain vegetation to allow dragonfly to hide from predators such as fish and birds. Next, the water must be clear enough to dragonfly larva to be able to see its prey, and must warm enough for it to be in active process. To conclude, every species needs to be in a specific habitat for it to be able to do its niche. Species niche can be determined by two factors. First is abiotic factors, which is climate and habitats. Next, biotic factors, such as competitors, parasites, and predators.
Next, competition between populations. Competition occurs when members of different species try to use same resources, such as light, space, or nutrients that is in limited supply. If the resources is not in limited supply, there is no populations. So based on this figure, when grown alone in pure culture, Paramecium aurelia and Paramecium cordatum exhibit sigmoidal growth, while when the two species grown together, Paramecium aurelia is better competitor and Paramecium cordatum dies out. This shows that both species attempted to use same resources, which led to competitive exclusion. Resources partitioning. Resources partitioning is the division of resources in order to decrease competition between two species. Resources partitioning often leads to increased niche specialization and less niche overlap. In other words, competition has led to resources partitioning and niche specialization. For example, in resources partitioning involve owls and hawks populations. Owls and hawks feed on same prey, which is small rodents, but owls is nocturnal hunters and hawks is diurnal hunters. Next is character displacement. Character displacement is tendency for characteristic to be more divergent when populations belong to the same community than when they are isolated. For example, the birds such as swallows, swifts, and martins fly together in mixed flocks to find food but will eventually migrate at different times, so they won't be competing over same food at same time. Another example for character displacement is character displacement in finches. When three species of ground finches, such as G. fuliginosa, G. fortis, and G. magnirostrys, occur in the same island, their big size is appropriate to eating small, medium, and large sized seeds, respectively. When G. fortis and G. fuliginosa are in a separate island, their beak have an intermediate size, which allows them to eat seeds in various sizes. Predator-prey interactions. Predation occurs when a living organism called predator feeds on another called prey. Parasitism is considered as a type of predation because one individual obtains nutrients from another. Parasitoids are organisms that lay their eggs in a host. Predation and parasitism tend to increase the abundance of the predator and parasite, but at the expense of the prey or host populations. Um, for example, predaceous consumer uh, include not only animals such as lions kill zebras, but filter feeding blue whale strain krill from ocean waters, and herbivorous deer browse on trees and shrubs. Predator-prey population dynamics. The population density of the predator can be affected by the population density of the prey. The predator-prey relationship is a two-way street. An increase in predator population size is dependent on an increase in prey population size. So, based on this graph, it shows the population of Canada lynx, which is the predator, and a snowshoe hare, which is its prey, in boreal forest. So, based on this graph, we can conclude that if the population of snowshoe hare decrease, the population of lynx will also decrease due to food shortage.
Okay, next is prey defense. Prey defense are mechanisms that thwart possibility of being eaten by a predator. Okay, prey species have evolved a variety of mechanisms that enable them to avoid predators. Okay, the example of the mechanisms are heightened senses, speed, protective armor, and spines or thorn entails an appendage that break off and chemical defenses. Okay, one of the common strategy to avoid predators is camouflage. Camouflage is the ability to blend into the background, which helps the prey avoid being detected by the predator. Some animals have cryptic coloration that blend them into their surrounding. Okay, as you can see here, a flounder, which is a fish, blend itself into the sand at the bottom of the sea. Okay, another example of camouflage is when lizards blend themselves into the bark of a trees. Okay, next, another common anti-predator defense among animals is warning colorization. Okay, animal with this ability will tell the predator that the prey is potentially dangerous. Okay, example here, poison arrow frogs are brightly colored to warn predators that they are dangerous to the touch. Okay, other than that, many animals also have the ability to confuse or startle another animals, especially the predators. Okay, this ability is known as fright. Okay, another animals have elaborate structures that cause the startle response. Okay, example here, South American lanternfly has a large false head with false eye resemble the head of alligator. Okay, however, not all anti-predator defense are false. Okay, we can see that porcupines, arrow-like quills, have bark that dig into the predator's flesh and penetrate even deeper. Okay, another type of anti-predator's defense is association with other prey. Okay, sometimes we can see a large number of birds that flying together in a group. Okay, this is because they stick together in a big group as a protection against the predators. Okay, next is mimicry. Okay, mimicry is a resemblance of one species to another poses an overt anti-predator defense. Okay, first, a mimic that lack of defense is called a Batesian mimic. Okay, example of Batesian mimic is flowerfly and longhorn beetle. Okay, both of these insects, which is the flowerfly and longhorn beetle, resemble the yellow jacket webs, but they are lack in the web's ability to sting. Okay, we can say that once an animal or the predators experience the defense of the model organism, which is the yellow jacket webs, the predator will remember the coloration and avoids all animals that look similar to it, including these two insects, which is flowerfly and longhorn beetle, although both of them doesn't have the ability to sting at all. Okay, another example of Batesian mimicry is the scarlet king snake that mimicking the venomous coral snake. Okay, next, mimics that share the same protective defense are called malarian mimics. Okay, some species that actually have the same defense resemble each other. Okay, as we can see, many insects like bees, hornets, yellow jacket webs, and bumblebees have the same ability to sting another animals, and they have the similar alternating yellow and black bands. Okay, well, we can say that once a predator has been stung by a black and yellow insect, it vary by that color pattern in the future. Okay, as the example here, okay, bumblebee. We can say that bumblebee is the malaria mimics of yellow jacket webs because both of them can sting another animal to protect themselves. Okay, the last one is symbiotic relationship. Okay, there are three types of symbiotic relationship, which are parasitism, commensalism, and mutualism. Okay, in parasitism, it involves two organisms, which is parasite and host. Okay, a parasite derives nourishment from a host. Okay, parasitism is a type of symbiosis in which of the species causes harm to the other but not attempt to kill it. Okay, in this picture, this is Dirophyllarial imitis, which is a parasitic nematodes. Okay, these worms live in the heart and the pulmonary blood artery and can cause the death of the host. Okay, next is commensalism. Okay, commensalism is a symbiotic relationship between two species in which one species is benefited and the other is neither benefited nor harmed. Okay, in this picture we can see the remoras, which is this fish, is attached themselves to the bellies of the shark. Okay, the remoras benefit by getting a free ride and feeding on a shark's leftover. Okay, the last one is mutualism. Okay, mutualism is a symbiotic relationship which both members get benefits. Okay, in the picture, we can see the sea anemones, okay, make their homes on the backs of a crabs. Okay, the crabs use the stinging tentacles of the sea anemones to gather food and protect themselves. Okay, while the sea anemones get a free ride that allows it greater access to food. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you.